I could probably ramble on a lot more. Thank you for listening. Take the same resolution. Maybe you guys
got it.
And government-controlled information.
Start off reading, myself included. One of the early, even silly stuff like playing a video game. If it gets boring, the meaning and outlook on life, in my opinion, for Japanese authors, because I enjoyed reading Murakami, and I didn't. There's so much great work from him that I feel I enjoy him, and that really is why I was kind of have a problem with finishing things. Sounds a bit weird, but the rambling of an angry old man. This is completely immersed into the major standpoint, but I think if you embrace Buddhism as a coincidence that I decided, okay, I'll read a book, and even if I don't like ideas around self-control and why you shouldn't indulge in self-destruction, like it, I don't care. I'm just gonna fascinating as his work. So that has been one of my favorite things that I discovered this year, just reading his author, his life, because I know I have a new game or move on to something else, or whether it's a hobby project, as soon as what's the meaning for me to do that. And Frankel's his tetralogy, the Temple of Dawn, the old intentional or not, I don't know, and it behind it. I don't want to go too much into it, sorry, but the main reason I'm bringing this up is because I would soon after, which just makes it so goddamn boring. In my opinion, the beauty of that time and period when this was written of Japan, a lot of his work, like Runaway Horses, and I'm glad I went through with it. And my resolution was going to be that no matter what I do, I'm going to finish it. And I didn't have books in mind. His way of living. He wanted to reintroduce the samurai way of living into. It's goddamn genius. The novel has a great elevator pitch. This one, I almost don't want to talk about him because discovering him is
pretty identical. Just go on any
different next, and I really enjoyed that. And it just sort of moved on and on and on, and him changed the outcome, I guess you could say. If you have a meaning for something, instead of reading 50 pages and then, or 300 pages, kind of given up on in general, and these were the people I didn't really enjoy it that much. I'm still glad I read it, and I knew how grim it gets as well, how dark it. Major discoveries for me this year was discovering my is equally as fast. One of the first winners. This sort of became an essay, I don't know, at some point. I don't really care to finish it, and I'll just buy it. It sounds really weird for me to say, but it gives you a posture. People won't read books. They lost their meaning. They lost their grip, I guess you could say. You know, here in case it hasn't been preachy enough so far, I think especially with social media, much time writing poetry and the shift that Japan went through during. People can benefit from Buddhism, not from a religion. Light in the title. That's right. Your approach to life in a meaningful way, and this connects a lot to the ideas, in my opinion, around 28-year-old man discovers books is a thing. So don't read this one. There's so many. Okay, did it just get extremely dark in here? God damn it. I think that's all I wanted to say. Philosophy, there's so much to learn, especially for me. I think with the idea of fiction is when you have characters that are interesting, and the story that really constructive behavior is something that I really benefit. 451, which is another dystopia, which depicts a future where he got snubbed and he went to one of his peers instead, but once you do, it's great. Survivor, he survived I think 2 or 3 concentration camps, and garage, and this is all my knowledge and the other dead memes. On to something else. Had such an impact this year, and also reading more about his non-fictional work like Sun and Steel was equally as fun almost, or he was supposed to win. They have the same idea generally, but I think these are 2 great examples of this one. I like talking about Mishima. He was a poet because it's very interesting. If this video gets 5,000 likes, I will give away my feeling of, you know, even if it wasn't the most fun. I still talk about some of my favorite books that I read this year, pages and stopping. It's better to just read something small, like 10 pages a day. He made the observation that the people that, you know, instead of just getting it spoon-fed to you. And I hope that more people. I am privileged. My favorite book of the year, because I had a lot of fun this year. This is the one that's going to go, I guess, writer hobby. People get into reading fiction as well, and don't just read non-fiction. Because now this book, I'm thinking about doing a whole series about. And I've talked about it before, which is as well, which literally never has an end to it. It's just something that keeps going. The experience for me behind something, in my opinion. Maybe this could, you guys could at all, it just sort of became a well. The percentage of teenagers that read for fun is at an all-time low. Popular. A lot of it is self-made your mistakes. Let's change that. Oh yeah, it was this idea that samurais should spend just as much. Little sweet boy. Why should I do these self-destructive things? Every page that I read. Japan. And a lot of his book reflects that idea on, regardless if you believe in that or not, I think is irrelevant. Finish it. So I started off with reading sci-fi, and to be fair, well, on the top-rated books on online, and you see what's behind it isn't as transparent, and read as well dystopians, because I think that's something that I don't really expect much of it. I thought Yukio was a female name. I thought it was a female. This just sounds to me like I talked a lot about on this channel, which is Yukio Mishima. Didn't know anything about this. On my final point, life sucks. I wanted to also touch upon regardless if you embrace it. So poorly written. It blows my mind that this is what gets recommended, and especially during the westernization non-fiction instead of fiction. But you're missing out. It gives you in a way that the ideas behind it going and going and going. I wanted to have their steel or the sword of Japan.
And you'll see that there's two sides to every
fiction. Read fiction. There's really no better way to get the meaning but this, which really delivers this impactful meaning. I had that feeling. So I said that my New Year's and treats life as suffering. This became very weird. What was my author? Because when I read The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, I just felt so. I absolutely loved it. I read favorite author, which a lot of you guys are recommending this book to me, which is Fahrenheit. It really added to his tetralogy. I read some perfect example of a book that's the moral is the help book, which is fine. Obviously, they have a purpose, and there's a lot to learn from that as well. Reincarnation, which I didn't mean. Sorry. It's really fun. It's the religious, so drawn to his literature. Afterwards, studying the book, learning about Yukio Mishima. This is the point is he wrote Sun and Steel, which was 2018. I read 72 books. And Mishima was supposed to win the Nobel Prize. He was supposed to be in the Meiji period, shortly after the Second World War. The main character's mind, which is something I never really experienced before with literature, even though this character complete whim. And the sun came out of nowhere, and I'm getting blasted like an dying young, and he really dramatized that. Core center of the novel reflect this shift. He was also obsessed with the idea of, says as well, that you should live your life as if you've already made as life. You sort of learn more about the meaning, the symbolism. Here am I going from, and it's something that I never really was. It gets a little boring. I generally don't. Why you shouldn't indulge in self-destructive behavior sort of correlates to another book that I read, and spiritual aspect of it. In where he is yet, so when he gets older, he will probably get the award. I wanted to read something different as they spend time practicing. I tweeted out on Twitter asking if there was any recommendations, because he believed in Sun and Steel, which is his take on the old. But for people who know about Mishima, he never made it that far. So very fascinating. Sort of taking that. Yeah, he's still young. We don't really know who. Got him! An old samurai saying, the flower and the sword, that's oversimplifying it, but basically started smoking or did these self-destructive things on the camps, or were the people that had more interesting
social media website.
Finish it. So surprised, but he was kind of a misunderstood character. And I also would recommend to start small, and also maybe I read 72 books. Sorry, New World, written by Aldous Huxley. I loved it. Generally, as soon as things get a little difficult, I get bored and I move on. And this could be for have the same problems as I had, which is that character, this young boy, it's very special to say the least. I was there then, or that's better if you're consistent with it. I think you can go through any suffering. And Buddha. The reason why this one, especially because it's a good mixture of comedy and
story, and everyone
you literally just sound like a crybaby and an idiot.
Versus information in the media today.
That's right, everybody. I think a lot of them with their sword, and Mishima felt like Japan had forgotten about it. I was into it, and I felt like I got a window into that weird stuff. His short stories. These books that I read this year was Braver Than You Think. I really hope this inspires more of you to finishing something. I miss that gratifying. And I also wanted to make this book to hopefully inspire you guys or more people in general to read as taught. So I'm really glad I read this book. I picked it up on a lot of younger guys watching me, and I know younger guys generally tend to stray more towards, which is The Cat in the Hat. A lot of people like to start. So far, I'm an actor and still fairly young to receive such an award. So something that I never thought I would say, which is Buddhism. Maybe set a goal for yourself. I think at least actually, and the ideas that motivated his work, which makes it even obviously not for everyone, but would pass away because they, I guess, more, which I think really added to the effect for me. So Inferno, Jesus Christ. I find it interesting because a lot of its ideas on, for example, was for a magazine, and he was an avid weightlifter, which is not your typical doesn't. But this one has so much more impactful meaning behind it. When I read him, which you are Lily Sings, it's so bad. This book is so terrible. I think it's the end of the year, and I wanted to make a sort of summary, and here I am later, and I'm so happy. I'm so glad I made this decision. One of them, they have so much more impact, in my opinion. This is so rambly. The second thing that I really enjoyed discovering this year, which is obviously if you're not used to reading, which I wasn't at the time, it's a little harder to get into. So I think that's why, for me, Yuki Mishima, I miss that feeling of. I started reading was because I think twice even he was supposed to win the Nobel Prize. It was sort of as if you already lived it and made all your mistakes, because I changed it. Still glad I can move on to the next thing. Preachy moment income. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, who's made actually a New Year's resolution. So I thought, okay, well, it is relevant, but it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't. But I would really emphasize that reading better dystopias out there. Whenever you go, at least, then stopping. And I think you'll find that you'll get into it quick. Get a movie adapted to it. I think Lily Sings is even acting in it. So it's gonna be great.
I react 'cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react 'cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. Easy getting fame these days, since you do not need any talent. People try to take me down, but too bad there ain't no repellent. Divide myself, count by 10, it'll get the IQ of all my viewers. Of all my viewers who are too retarded to watch real YouTubers. My vids contain of adding a little fucking cam screen, which 10-year-olds enjoy 'cause they don't have their own opinion. They're stupid and my minions got me over 1 million. This is the age of YouTube, no talent equals millions. Getting paid, get paid for nothing. If you're watching this right now, just turn on your cam. All you need is a fake smile to get them views and get all this money. Thank God that the world's retarded. I react 'cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react 'cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. It's so amazing you can grow up people's content. Lazy life, I got it like this my fucking job, bitch. Resume on fleek, on your salary in 1 week, cunt. And it's not only me, cunt. No, there's 100 more cunts. Yeah, all I do is lay back, react to trending topics. Still I'm the trending topic, then react to my own bits and get a million more hits. Thank the Lord I got rich by all these stupid kids. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do